so some tactical contextualization. So what the tactics, the bar, the throws, the energetic throws, the non-contestation, etc., that make up your Kihon Waza. So they're within your Kihon Waza. They assume what we call asocial violence. And asocial violence is marked by territoriality. And physiologically speaking, I'm going to take his space. People don't realize they're doing this, okay? They're just aggressive and they're angry, all right? But we're looking at it structurally. So this is not what angry people do. Angry people, aggressive people will either consciously or subconsciously take over where he's standing. Territoriality. And we mark that in terms of geometry with what we're calling spinal displacement. I take my spine and I stand and displace his spine from where it's standing. All of your Aikido, Kihon Waza tactics assume asocial violence is occurring. That's the context for it, okay? So let's say he's going to do a two-hand push, but social violence. So he's not trying to displace me. He's just trying to get my ego going, you see? So I try to do kokyunage from there, and you're not going to get it. But he does the same push with the spinal displacement, and you get it. All your Aikido Kihon assume an asocial tactical context. This is why it is not smart, first of all, to define the art by a self-defense situation. That doesn't make sense, okay? Or to define the art by only its Kihon. And equally, it does not make sense that I try to figure out a way to do the tactics within Kihon for social violence. So he does that push and you're like, okay, how would I get kokyunage? That is dumb. Same, likewise, a jab. The jab has no spinal displacement. So it makes no sense to figure out how to get kotoga esh on the jab. Makes no sense. You don't understand the Kihon. All right. There's something else peculiar to asocial violence. Because he's practicing territoriality, the overwhelming majority of people will use their legs to transport their spine. They will not use their legs, in a way I'll do it, to cover the bridging of their gap. Overwhelmingly, people will use their aggression, their speed, their surprise, their violence of action to make safe the bridging of the gap. Make safe against what? Make sense against counter strikes. Boom! They will not do feeler strikes, boom, or bridging strikes. They will not. So, you're now in a different context. You're going to have to be able to navigate this context, okay? So, in order to learn how to navigate the context in terms of defense, I have to know how to do the context so I can train him and he can train me, okay? So the one we're looking for today is attacking the closest target to me. That's the leg. I'm going to use that as my bridging, okay? So when I bridge, my goal is to get back to asocial violence. It is not to pepper him and come out. I'm not here to win this thing in terms of points. I'm here to kill him or defeat him. That's what I'm here for. So it makes no sense to throw this light. It makes no sense to throw it in a way that I can't counter, continue my attack. And when I throw the attack, it's not a whole other different kind of technique. So for example, here I am in Kihon, he's pushing, and that energy is being grounded, and that's the energy that I project out. Same thing on the throw. Boom, pop. I take his resistance of his mass into the foot. So don't start changing arts. Same way I did those throws, it's the same way I take this energy here, I go, and I do the same thing on his chest. Foot, boom, is the same way I throw my hands. It's in this foot. I'm not here and relying on different engines like hip rotation. It goes in the foot. So you're going to feel your energy, your mass grounded. You're going to feel his energy, his mass, keep it grounded. So you're not here, coming up on your heel. This energy goes through. Boom. Boom. Bah. So I'm not kicking him hard, but I want to feel the resistance of his mass, the target, and that goes into the ground. And now I'm in the back. Boom. If you want, take his body. Okay, let's work it. Go. Bridging. Go. Okay, so I want to repeat the point. In Aikido, it's always internal. It's always internal, which means energy goes through my body. That's what makes it internal. And I project it onto a greater mass. There's a rebound, and that's what I use to displace his mass with. Okay? The rebounding energy. So, I don't want to start going. Like, that's a kind of energy. You see, I have a gravitational drop. I also don't want to go back to just my hip rotation. That's not what I'm doing. I'm going to send all my energy, my moving energy, my gravitational pull of my mass into that foot. The same way, yes, it's fast, but that's the skill. It doesn't require time. You're not doing it if you need a lot of time to get it set up. When I hit, that now energy, that goes into that foot. And that's what allows the displacement. So I do the kick, and I'm going to kick through. I don't want that leg to be there. Into this foot is where I'm concentrating. So he's back off the bag, and I can't sit here and kick him all day long. So I'm going to slow it down, which is possible. Boom, displace here. What I'm looking for is that tilt. That's the same tilt you set up. So we did this technique. There's the tilt right there. We came in. That's what makes the base attackable. So boom, engine, boom, break it. Boom, right there. Bridging technique, boom, in. Let's go. Feel. Block things. You're going to try his counter and coming in. You can hide it too in fakes and feints. Fakes and feints. Boom, you're in. But watch how my hands are reaching for things, you see. Fake, fake, boom, there it is. Boom. And when you get to the throw, it's not bending backwards. It's lock his body. So you're going to be grounding. You're going to take the energy of his mass, your mass, and put it on the next foot and lock his body. You're not trying to throw his head up here. His whole body, right from here, whole body. That's the throw. Boom. There's no need to take the head, you're taking the head. There's more need to keep the things checked. You already got the head in the kick. Make sure you're locking the body. So in terms of maximum efficiency, your throws are going to have a greater effect on his person and his ability to fight than your strikes, okay? So you would never, where you could throw, you would never strike, okay? So when you're in this technique, we can make it a little more alive, okay? So he might be the one that moves into me, boom, and then I have it. Let's get to the throw part. Boom, here. You're not hitting him like wrestling, pro wrestling. Your arm is here, and now you seek the body lock, okay? So I'm not hitting him and hope he knocks down. If I hit him, he might be able to take the blow. Do you see? He might be able to take the blow. I want to continue the kazushi that I started. This thing. I'm going to turn his body with the body lock. I'm going slow so you can see. Boom. And I want the planet to hit him. So don't try to knock him down. Continue this opening. Oh. Don't try to hit him here. No. Contact, throw. Not impact. Go. Okay. So if you study, if you guys, and I highly recommend it, okay? You should look at what are other arts doing, what's their discourse, what's their understanding, okay? But when you look at it to plug it back into your Aikido, okay? So if you look at the arts that openly call themselves internal arts, so Aikido is not one of them. Most people do not say that. And out of those that do say it, they do not have the same understanding of internal as the other arts that openly call themselves, this is an internal art. Okay? The process is simplified as I understand it, as I have put it before you, okay? Because those other arts get very, very complicated. There's cultural reasons why they do. They're not practical reasons, they're cultural reasons. And so I highly recommend you do not get lost in them. So even O-sensei had cultural reasons that overcomplicated things. So all his correspondences, for example, okay? Mystical traditions always had correspondences. If you go throughout history and you look at a mystical tradition, and mystical does not mean woo-woo, mystical does not mean imaginary or the opiate of the masses. That is modern man's rhetoric to justify his own culture today. You have to denounce the culture of the past, so you make a straw man argument out of it. And then you got to pretend that you're reinventing the wheel, like flow state and all this other kind of crap, mindfulness, all that other shit, okay? But every time you reinvent the wheel, as a side note here, it's always a crappy wheel. Why don't you just stick to the original cultural system that developed the technology, and you're going to be better off, okay? So even though O-sensei had all these correspondences, this fire, water, directions of the compass, elements, and it just goes on and on and on. The mystical tradition is ultimately about a reconciling of all those correspondences. So it is immediately futile and a waste of time to get involved with infinite number of correspondences. There's a cultural reason why they do that. There's not a practical reason, meaning those infinite correspondences will not help me gain a mystical experience, which is a reconciliation of the subject-object dichotomy, how I experience my world. Having an infinite number of correspondences and remembering them is not going to help me gain that skill. So likewise, when you look at the internal arts, you're going to see the same kind of cultural discursive development, and you will get lost in it. So I have given you a simple thing. The process is energy passes through me. You have to understand that. I must become a vessel. I must become empty. The energy passes through me. This is the heart of non-contestation. So it pushes, and you moving out of the way is not, it is a non-contestation, but it's not really the heart of non-contestation. The heart of non-contestation is this energy is going through me, it's going to the ground, so my arm can stay at apparently weird angles. Do you see? Weird angles. My arm can stay at weird angles. Trying to do this externally won't work. But if I just let that energy push into me, the right angle is fine. And you can come back from it. Just keep pushing into the ground, do you see? So he's not really pushing into the lever, and so I don't really overstrain the inner deltoid, and it becomes possible. That's non-contestation. So the energy must pass through me. To do that, I must become an empty vessel. And that is the overlap between the physical techniques and the spiritual techniques. Because in the same way that energy is passing through me, due to my emptying of self, this opens the door for what various mystical traditions will call the divine, God, grace. What we moderns might go, well, now there's no more subject, there's no more object, you're in a mystical experience at a physiological level, because there's no separation of body-mind. They're the same. So I wouldn't get caught up in all the different chi, or all the different jing, or all the yin-yang correspondences as you look at the internal arts. So you're looking for this emptying of self. That means his energy goes through me. To use it martially, his energy goes through me, and I redirect it internally into a greater mass. Then the property of the greater mass, which is often the planet, is going to displace the energy that I sent down because it's greater mass. So it will reflect it or rebound it back into my person. Because I'm empty, it'll go back into my person. And then I can aim it and do different things with it. But whose energy was it? It was his energy going through me, hitting a greater mass. It's that same energy. But it's not just his energy. There's also the energy of my mass, the gravitational pull on my mass, the movement of my mass through space. All that has to pass through me to the greater mass to get the reflection or the deflection or the rebound. So if I'm doing this drill and he's pushing, I am just going to static, make it go down, down. That's beginner level. Learn to empty yourself and let it go down to the ground. Then what I do is, okay, well, it went down. Now get the rebounding energy and learn to let it back up. You let that energy back in, let it come back out. So we'll pop. Boom. And the harder he pushes, boom, the more immediate the effect, the energy goes. It goes boom. It's greater and faster. Okay? Well, that same energy can be done, in this case, it's in a pushing way. That same energy can be done in coming back towards me. So here's his mass. And as I try to pull him forward, that's more gravity against me. Well, I send that down to the ground, and you can get that side of the equation. So for simplicity's sake, I don't give it all the different jins that the internal arts would give it. This one, is called Q, and this one is Aiki. The energy that separates is called Q, and the energy that adheres or communes is Aiki. Do you understand? This here is a drill, though. Clearly it's a drill because martially no one should be grabbing me, and I don't know why I'm sitting here. So if you don't understand drilling and you think this martial context, you're lost. You're not going to get it. So here so far, I have a kick, and I have a bridging technique. You see, I'm leaving the drilling rule, and I'm starting to enter application. You see that, okay? I don't want to change the engines that I use. You understand, okay? So I'm not going to go to hip rotation, just like I'm not going to go to here. I'm not going to go to hip rotation here. That's not what I'm doing. This mass is being pushed down. My mass is being pushed down. My mass is moving. All that is energy. All that energy goes into the ground vector, which means so it can rebound off the greater mass of the planet. You understand? Okay? When I do this, in drilling, it's done slowly. You see? It's done slowly for the purposes of prolonging the cultivation field. But if you think you're going to have that much time in application, you're crazy, you're dreaming. Okay? Which means I need to be able to do it quickly. Like all this energy, whoa, all that mass, that's got to go into that foot, not like this. Do you see? It's got to be quick. Quick. Not here. Well, same thing on the kick. It can't be, I'm now using hip rotation. I'm going to use this. Now this brings up something else. My is dynamic. I have the time space for the kick, and I have the time space for the body lock me. Too far out. Too far in. Too far in. So he's a little more dynamic now. I move, boom. Right now. Boom, same thing. Don't jam yourself. Watch what you might have to do. Maybe you gotta go out. Don't get stuck. Ground, ground. My. Don't get jammed. Don't be out of range. Go. So again, drilling this stuff. He's going to be the initiator now. So he's doing his fakes and feints. Oh! And then he's coming in. What is this? Spinal displacement. Okay? So first, non-contestation on the kick. Just like he's pushing and get out of the way of the push. Okay? So his kick is round, move up the circle. Up the circle, reach out and absorb. Just like your swords. Sword reaches out, he goes, boom. Boom. He's going to keep doing his thing, right? You're going to see, keep closing. So, up, here it comes, there it is. Boom, there, boom. Boom. So slow, boom, this way. You're going to feel his pressure. something to understand as you move from cultivation drills to application. Another thing is very, very important. This jacks up Aikido people all the time, okay? Let's pay attention to the early Kokuyoku skills, okay? He's pushing in me, right? I need him to push into me. I need his force to come into me. That's the whole point of the internal skills. This is not it. You see that? Okay. Likewise, he's doing his thing. Oh, I need that. So you're not going here. You see that? One, it won't be internal. And two, it's impossible. The only way you can do that is you know what's coming, okay? Your sensations, your martial sensations are through feeling, not through my intellect. You get it? So when he goes, whoa, oh, crap, that's what you're going to feel, okay? So I've had a lot of Aikido people, your mind is wrong. You're fucking back in technique land. You're back in Kihon. It's not wrong. It's not wrong because his energy is going through me. I'm not contesting it just because I'm close to him. I'm not contesting it. Energy is going through me. So as he goes, let him push. He's going to be the one to tell you where to go. I want you to watch what my mind is doing. Here, momentum. Watch how much closer I am to him. Go a little faster. See that difference? Just because I'm close doesn't mean I'm contesting. Equally, just because I'm far does not mean I'm non-contesting. Non-contestation is an internal aspect. Okay, so say it out loud. Which internal skill is that?
Aikido.
Yeah, so that's your communion skill. Cool. That means that energy is this up this way. You're not just going like this. Boom, you're not bracing for impact. Your energy's flowing through you. We go on. Boom. You see my hands are here, okay? Don't have your hands on. Guard your workspace here. Okay, he's pushing. Push. 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 Which energy?
Kokyu.
Yeah, okay? So it's holding this separate. Do you see? So I don't want to get out of the way. This energy goes into the ground. It's very relaxed. And by choice, I yield. I have his body. Okay? I have his body. Back in, you need me? You're trying to do you need me? Okay? And now I go into the in space. But that initial energy is what I'm going to project on whatever foot I find. Often in your Kihon, it's the back foot. But in fighting, it's whatever is in contact with the greater mass. Okay? So, I go, it might be the back foot. But depending on what's happening, it might be the front foot. So I'm on this foot, push, push. I'm on this foot. And that might be the one that I end up doing, okay? You know, just letting it go through you and finding the greater mass. So, boom, push, 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 push. I yield, I load that energy, and this is a Kokyu projection. It's not a momentum throw. Kokyu projection. Absorb. Okay, let's go.